Very good afternoon, Bangalore. Listen, this is the final session of what's been a fabulous 2 days. If I don't hear more noise, this is not going to work. Make some noise, Bangalore! Okay, how many cricket fans in the house here? How many of you are excited about what we have for the next 40 minutes? I want to hear more than who's excited for the next 40 minutes? The man who I'm about to call on stage is a man who needs no introduction. I'm still going to take a couple of seconds to give you that introduction. He's India's most successful bowler in the history of the game. One of only 2 bowlers to pick up 10 wickets in innings in Test cricket. A former captain of the Indian cricket team, a former coach of the Indian cricket team, an ICC Hall of Famer, recipient of the prestigious Padma Shri Award. He's a coach, he's a mentor, now a broadcaster, he's a photographer by passion. And listen, we live in India. If this is not enough, the parents want you to have a degree. He's a mechanical engineer as well. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who just didn't survive, but he flourished at the highest level of Indian cricket for 18 long years. He's one of us. He's from this part of the land. He's one of Karnataka's favorite sons. The one, the only. Put your hands together for Anil Kumble.
Thank you.
Anil, thanks for chatting with us and making some time. You can see it's a capacity crowd. It's often what they look forward to at the end of 2 long days. I know you do a lot of these conversations. You've been around the cricketing circuit for a long, long time. What happened over the last 10 to 15 days is almost unprecedented. We've had cricket matches stop in the past for surprising reasons. In all that you've seen in the game of cricket, have you ever seen something as strange as what we saw about 10 days back?
Good evening, everyone. I guess it was something that we all had to do, and I'm glad that cricket is starting again from tomorrow. Hopefully, if weather gods don't intervene. I'm sure I heard the noise when you called out for RCB fans, and if all of them sort of start praying, then the weather gods should stay away, because I guess RCB can't just do with just 1 point tomorrow. They need 2. But I guess cricket, even during COVID times, we played in different places. We went to Dubai. Then I think as a sport, it's wonderful to sort of have that opportunity to go and represent the country. I think that to me is the biggest sort of proudest feeling that you can get when you go out there representing your country, and you're representing so many people, and you know that a lot of people want the team to do really well, want you to do really well, and that's a great thing to have when you're walking in to your own profession, when there are so many people backing you to go out there and do well.
Is it okay for me to ask you if you have a loyalty in the IPL at all?
No, I'm a commentator. You're a broadcaster too, Navneet. You need to be neutral. And I've represented 3 teams. Of course, I played for RCB. I was mentor for RCB for the first couple of years. So first 5 years I was with RCB, then moved to Mumbai Indians for 3 years as a mentor. Then I moved to Punjab for 3 years. So yeah, all 3 of them are sort of eyeing spots for the playoffs. So, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, how many RCB fans here, guys? Are you all happy with how RCB are doing this year? Are they going to go the distance this year? That's not how RCB fans respond. Are they going to go the distance this year? That's more like it. You were going to say something. And it's interesting times, not just in the IPL, but for Indian cricket as well, Anil. Now with senior players announcing retirements, it's almost like a transition period for Indian cricket of sorts. A lot of youngsters coming into the mix. Ashwin announced his retirement a while ago, and Rohit and Virat obviously a lot more recently. How do you see this go forward? And if you have to pick a name for captaining India in Test cricket, who would that be?
I guess, transition is a part and parcel of life. You sort of, in any walk of life, any field, any profession, there are times where you have to let go and then move on to the next set of players, and cricket is no different. The game is bigger than any one of us, and that's the beauty about sport. It teaches you that it's not just you as an individual, but the team is bigger than all of us. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a challenge, when you're picking a captain. But I would certainly go with Jasprit Bumrah. He's done exceptionally well. He's your lead bowler. He's someone who's already led the team in Australia in Rohit's absence. So I think Bumrah would be the obvious choice. I'm not the selector, but yeah, I would go with a bowler.
Yeah, and just coming to the occasion today itself, it's a data engineering summit. Numbers is something that's not new to you. You obviously run an AI tech-based company as well in Spectracom. But when you started off, early 90s to where you see cricket today, numbers and the role that it plays has evolved a lot. Did you ever use numbers at all when it came to your bowling in cricket?
Always. For all of you who are all here, data engineers, analysts, data in cricket gets generated only from a bowler first, right? I was just telling Navneet backstage that if I stand still with a ball in my hand and not do anything, nothing happens. Yeah, so the batter reacts to what I'm going to do. So that's the first call. And it's all about percentages. It's all about the way I bowled as well. I was not a classical orthodox spinner, so I had to sort of depend a lot on angles, a lot on probability, percentage, and that's what I did throughout my career. I felt that if, bowling at the stumps, you have better chance of getting batters out because the probability is a lot more. You can get him out LBW, bowl, caught, stump. So if you spin the ball this big and then if it's beating the stumps and the bat, yeah, you're losing it by 50%. You only catch and possibly a stump. So that was number one. Number two was, of course, in terms of using data itself, the mind sort of knows exactly how you have bowled at different batters in the previous time, and then when you encounter them again in the next series, what are the things that you need to do, what that particular batter is not comfortable with. So you keep trying to build on that. If someone is uncomfortable with a particular delivery, you sort of try and do that more so that the chances of you succeeding is slightly better. So you use those percentages. I think the first set of sort of tool that certainly helped us when I was playing for the speed gun. I know I'm a spinner, but speed gun sort of helped me because invariably in test matches when you came back after a spell, after the first sort of session, and you came back at lunchtime, you sat down, and then you went through the guys who were at the middle, right? Two batters who were still not out. You would come back and look through at what speeds or what trajectory it felt uncomfortable on that surface for that particular batter. So when you went back in the second session, you tried to replicate that a little more so that you could get batters out. So in fact, I was one of the first ones to carry a laptop into the Indian change room. We had developed, much before Spectracom was born, we had a company called Stump Vision. And we had developed a software. And those days, it was not a video-based software. It was more a data scoring software, a lot more deeper. So every ball would be coded. Every ball would be sort of, you tag every ball with the type of ball that the bowler would bowl. So if it's an in-swinger, then you would say it's an in-swinger. What line, what length, what shot was played. and so on and so forth, what length it pitched. So you would generally tag all of those, and then you would get a pattern at the end of a few games. And once you sort of build data around one particular bowler versus one particular batter, you tend to sort of get a pattern. And those are things that I was trying to sort of tell the batters. So they said, look, this computer is no good, don't bother bringing this in. But I think it took a while before everyone understood that this was a part and parcel of everyone's game now. If you look back now, if you look at how batters look at the analyst, as soon as they get out, the first person they go and sit next to is the analyst, just to see what went wrong. Why did I get out, or what could I have done different? So I think things have changed in terms of tools that are available for cricket. It's still nascent. It's still a long way. I mean, there's still a lot more scope for us to build on what is currently available in cricket. However, I think data coming in has improved drastically from what it used to be. So team meetings are a lot more data-driven now. People sit and watch various, you call it matchups. That's what you call it. I mean, we did matchups much prior to data analyst coming on board. So it was just a matter of understanding and building patterns is what you try and do in cricket, and that is seen more often. And with the advent of IPL and, of course, the auction strategy, then it becomes a lot more data-driven. So I guess cricket has embraced technology. It's embraced the data analyst and the scientist and all the tools that sort of gets built behind the scenes.
And it's interesting, one of the points you mentioned is I'm not an orthodox leg spinner, because in the more conventional form, you see a leg spinner turning the ball a lot more, but you found other ways to be effective. I'm just going to try to connect this outside of cricket to life in the corporate world, Anil. There are times when we don't follow a certain path, but we figure out different ways and we question whether it's okay for us to take that path or not. Was there ever a time in your career when people came and told you that you're not the traditional leg spinner? Your chances are you're not going to be very effective. How did you navigate those times?
I had that said to me every single day, every single time whether I succeeded. If I succeeded, they gave the credit to the pitch. If I didn't succeed, then it was obvious that my style of bowling didn't help. And right till the end of my career, in fact, after retirement, when I walked into the press conference, one of the journalists asked me, so Anil, how does it feel to finish with 600 plus wickets without spinning the ball? And I'm not someone who just says no comment and moves on. I wanted to answer back. I said, look, I'm really happy and glad that it's taken 18 years for the batters to figure that out. So it's just a matter of understanding your own strengths. More importantly, how can you mask your challenges? Not everybody is gifted. Not everybody has all the things that one can do. I think in my career, the one person I saw who probably was extremely gifted was Sachin Tendulkar. I mean, fortunately for me, he didn't take his leg spin seriously, and he focused more on his batting. If he had taken his leg spin seriously, then I would have been in trouble. Yeah, he was someone. But having said that, I know people talk about talent, people talk about Tendulkar. He was probably the most hardworking too, and both of them are important. It's not just the talent. And for me, I had to work a lot. So I had to sometimes prove myself. And when people say things like, he's not going to be successful, he should go the orthodox way, I did try. I did try when I was dropped from the team, and I think it was around 96, 97. I went back and tried the traditional approach. And it worked. It worked for me in the nets. I thought this probably is the new me. And then I went and played a match. It was an Irani Trophy game. I was captain of rest of India. We were playing Mumbai at the Wankhede Stadium. And I was successful in the first innings. I got 4 wickets, out of which 3 of them I got in first slip. So I said, okay, this is how I'm going to be. And in the second innings, our team was under pressure because we were, following on and not following on, just about avoided the follow on, 190 runs ahead. The only way that we could come back into the match was if we bowled out Mumbai cheaply. So when I sat down, I'm the captain, our team is under pressure, I said, to hell with all this. I'm going back to what I know best. And that was a learning for me. Although we lost the match by 40 runs or 30 runs, I got 7 wickets in that second innings. And I said, look, this is how I am. I will make those subtle changes and understand what my limitations are. And more importantly, work on my strength and ensure that my strength will remain my strength for a long period of time. You have to constantly evolve and constantly understand what needs to be done in that particular situation, and understanding that, and then trying to be, you need to wholeheartedly get into that rather than half-hearted, saying, okay, what if? If you start thinking what if, then you're never going to succeed.
And that was 1996-97 when you mentioned that you were dropped and then you worked in the background. And then 1999 happened, obviously, at the Firozshah Kotla when you picked up the 10 wickets against Pakistan. When we look at it from the outside, it's easy for us to say that he's gone on to achieving what nobody else has. But it's been years of work that you've put in the background. And more often than not, it's mundane, monotonous work, doing the same things again and again and again. We live in a time now where we put a post on Instagram and we're checking every 15 minutes how many likes that we get. How many of you all are guilty of doing something like that? Yeah? Exactly, right? Instant gratification. Times are changing. That was late 90s, we're about 25 years ahead. How did you stay undistracted and focused on the one goal that you always had?
It was all about practicing the way you're going to play a match. It was not about just going there. Yes, you wanted to have fun, and I loved going and bowling and batting and being a part of a cricket team. Having said that, I think once I stepped onto the practice field, it was more about the same kind of intensity that you would have in a match. Try and build. So if all my colleagues who were great batters, I'm fortunate that I had so many great players in my team. So when they went into bat, whether it was Rahul, whether it was Sehwag, whether it was Tendulkar or Lakshman or for that matter Ganguly, Saurav, anyone walked into bat, it was all about how can I get him out on that particular pitch, on that particular, wherever we were playing or practicing. So it was not about going there and then giving them practice. So it was more about learning how to bowl differently, how do you negate them, how do you keep them quiet. And if I could, that's how I built my game, because I had the good fortune of bowling against some greatest of the batters in that era. So for me, it was a challenge to bowl at them, and that's how I learned. And they were the coaches for me. They were the guys who used to give me feedback on what I had to do, and that was the greatest strength I had, that they had. I had such great players in my team. And that was the only way that you could develop your game, and that could also help you understand and be in the present in tough situations in a game. Because the moment, you're under pressure, whether you're bowling the first ball or whether you're last ball, when you need that 1 wicket to win a match or stop the opposition from scoring that 2 runs or 1 run to win the game. So the pressure is the same, whether it's the first ball that you're bowling or the last ball you're bowling. How you sort of try and be in the present at that point is the challenge. And that can only happen if you have practiced day in, day out, and it comes naturally. It's not like you don't feel the pressure. You will certainly feel the pressure. It's just about understanding that even under those situations or circumstances, you still are thinking of how to get that guy out and not getting into a mindset of how do I now save myself from this situation. You're constantly thinking positive. And when you're under pressure, you don't think positive. You're thinking all the worst things that can happen. Like, what if I bowl a full toss? It's going to get hit for a 6. That's it. What if we lose this game from here on? What happens? So all those thoughts may come into your head. How quickly can you take that out of your head? Depends on how you have sort of built the practice sessions. So I was fortunate that, all these guys were a part of my team, and I was able to get into those kind of situations more often in the nets than in a match.
Yeah, the golden era of Indian cricket in many ways, right? The batting lineup that India had. And we'll obviously talk a little more about Feroz Kotla in 1999. You've spoken about it so much. You've probably been asked about it so much. What's the fondest memory that you have of that experience? It doesn't have to be what happened on the field. It could be an interaction that you had many years later. Someone came up and said something to you. Anything that you can share that maybe none of us know.
I guess, you sort of, since that day, I think things have changed. Expectations went beyond what it used to be. Whenever I played before that was, you take 5 wickets, and then after that, you take 10 wickets. So the expectations just doubled. And probably I was destined to get all 10. You don't walk into a match thinking you're going to get all 10. So this was one of those days where, I was destined to get all 10. I guess the toughest moment, the greatest memory for me of that was, we were 1 down going into that test match against Pakistan, and it was a 2-test series, so we had to win this test match. So that was the fondest memory. We won the test match, leveled the series. And I think beyond that, off the field, I guess it was really tough for my room partner, VVS Lakshman, on that evening, because he had to answer all the congratulatory calls, because I was on one phone and the other phone was ringing in the room, and he would pick up and then sort of have these conversations saying, please wait, he's on a call. I think it was more tough on Lakshman than, of course, he took the last catch, so he was under pressure. If he had dropped that catch, I think people would have reminded him for the rest of his life. So, and if I had not got the 10 wickets, he would have probably been reminded for the rest of his life. So that was the first pressure situation that he encountered.
Was it Srinath who was bowling wide of the batter just the over
before?
Yeah,
that was something that he did on his own. I didn't have to tell him.
Of course.
If I was in this position, which I was, a few years ago, when Kapil Dev was close to beating Sir Richard Hadley's record in Bangalore. We were playing Sri Lanka in a test match in 1994. And he was on 4-3-0. 4-3-1 was the record at that point in time, the highest ever by anyone in test match cricket. So Kapil Dev was on 4-3-0. Sri Lanka were 8 down, and there were 2 wickets left, and I was bowling from the other end. And we had plenty of time to win the test match, so it was pretty obvious that I had to bowl wide. So I was bowling wide, and Kapil Dev was bowling from the other end. So he finished his over, I got the ball, I bowled wide, the batsman swung at it, inside edge bowled. Oh. So that could have happened too. So that's why I said, I was probably destined. Otherwise, a wide ball could have swung, inside edge bowled, anything could have happened. So I had to say sorry after getting a wicket. And fortunately, the next game, he equaled the record here in Bangalore. And then the next test was in Ahmedabad, where he went past Sir Richard Hadley. So I guess it was one of those moments where everyone comes together. I mean, when India plays, it's not just the 11 players who are playing. I know there are millions who are praying for the team. There is, all kinds of hymns are going on, and all kinds of pujas are happening across the globe for the team to win and for their players to do well. So it's not just my own effort. It's everyone sort of joins in. So it was one of those moments for me.
How did life change after that day?
After that day, at least for me, it didn't change much, because people kept calling me saying, "Oh, now how do you feel?" I said, I don't. Yeah, cricket is like life itself. It takes you there one day, and then the next day you realize you have to start all over again, because 4 days later, we were playing against the same team in a different venue. It was called the Asian Test Championship. So we were playing Pakistan at the Eden Gardens, I struggled to get one. So that's the beauty about cricket. Javagal Srinath got 8 wickets. So it was karma. So he did a favor by bowling wides, and then he got 8 in the next innings. I got 1. So that's what it is. So you tend to, yes, you celebrate, and then you sort of think that, okay, this is probably the identity that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. Because whoever I meet now, people keep recalling. And, earlier it was saying, sir, I was there at the venue watching it. Now when I meet somebody at the airport, sir, I was a schoolboy. My father was at the venue. Then I say, no, please stop. Don't go beyond this. Don't remind my age now. And I know it was 25 years ago that this thing happened. So that, I think, is the only progression. But otherwise, I think people do remember that event really fondly, and which is really nice.
And the reason I ask how life changed after that, Anil, is I'm just speaking from a point of view of humility. Life can change very quickly when you have a lot of things coming your way, and after something like that happens. What was the self-talk for you to keep yourself focused on the longer game that you were anyway playing, than that is to continue to play cricket for India as long as you could? Because what happened that day happens once in a lifetime almost. How did you keep your eyes on the ball after that?
I guess I was always, wanting to improve on every time that I was never satisfied with what I did on the field. I was always constantly looking at how could I have done better. And that was always been my case. Never ever satisfied with what happened. Yes, 10 wickets, you can't go better than that. But still, you're looking at how could you have probably done things slightly differently. And that's what I think is keeps you sort of on the ground. And of course, the family plays a major role in those times. And I was one of those privileged and fortunate ones that cricket is loved in India. And that's why I'm here today as well. Even after giving up the game for 17 years now, and still people want to hear stories about when I played. So that's the beauty about cricket, and that love that people have and the affection people have. People tell me about, there's a junction here which is named after me, and it's a recognition of cricket. I don't think it's just my own recognition. Yes, I was recognized for the 10-wicket haul, and it was a great honor. It's something that I sort of rate as probably one of the top honors in my life, because it comes from the people. And it's not just for me, it's for the sport that people love. And I'm grateful for that, and I'm always going to be grateful for all the love that I've received throughout my life.
And the career that you had, it almost went over 3 different decades, for a good part of the 90s, the 2000s, and early part of the decade after that as well in the IPL. Apart from captaining the Indian team, you played under a few captains. For a big part of it, Mohammad Azharuddin and Saurav Ganguly. When you play under different captains, the environment changes, the culture changes. As a member of that team, how did you get accustomed to the different styles of captaincy? And I'm trying to relate this to life in a corporate world when we work under different managers, under different working environments.
Yeah, the sort of, not the culture doesn't change, because culture sort of remains the same, more or less. It's a team sport. Yeah, some of the things may change, elements may change based on the individual who's captain. But for me, it was never different, because I always felt that I was the captain of my own bowling. I didn't look up to anyone to sort of wanting to, because they knew that, look, I only asked them what was the outcome that was required, because sometimes you had to bowl a defensive line in certain situations where you know that nothing was happening, you sort of had to control the game. So even if it was controlling the game, then it would be the way I would sort of look to control the game, rather than the captain wanting their own way. So they knew that they could trust me, saying, look, this is something that you could do. The other aspect of at least the era that I played in, through the era, whether it was Azhar was, it's always, you're always sort of closer to the first captain, because he was the one who, when I made my debut, he was the captain. And I'll always be grateful for that. And when Saurav came in 2000, and with John Wright coming in, things changed. We started doing things differently. We started winning outside of India consistently. And that's something that we all wanted to change. And it was not, yes, Saurav was the captain, and he was the nominated captain, but there was a leadership group within the team. And that group remained so even when Rahul was captain, even when Sachin was captain, even when I was captain. Some of the personnel kept changing. I mean, there were some new entrants like a Zahir Khan coming in, or a Sehwag coming in, or a Lakshman coming in. So the core group, I think, is the key. Then you don't really worry about who the captain is or anything else, because the common goal is to win the match for your team. And whatever strategies or discussion that happens is always keeping the big picture, which is winning a match, winning a tournament. And you just align to it. And in sport, you don't think of anything else, right? Outside of what we can go and do. You're not thinking about, oh, this guy is the captain, I need to worry about who he is. You're not worried about that at all. I mean, that's the beauty about sport. You don't worry about who's in charge. You just go about doing your role and then ensuring that you're there for the toughest situation. Because when you put your hand up in tough situations, that's when people will recognize. And only when you do that, when easy things are there, then you are the first one to sort of get it. People say, you know what, this guy gets everything. This guy gets everything, yes. But he is the one, or he or she is the one who sort of has been through the tough yards. When things are not going for the company or for the team, you're there bowling those 20 overs where nothing is going to happen. You know that you're not going to get a wicket. It's not that simple. If you're going to get a wicket, it's going to be challenging. Everything is against you, the pitch, the conditions, the batter is in form, everything is against you, but you're going on and on and on. And you know that when things are in your favor, it's not somebody else bowling. You would want the ball, because since you have done all the hard yards, you will get the ball during those times. So I guess it just plays around. You just have to wait it out. Don't be in a hurry to say, I want everything. Yeah. In a team, you just play for the team. Individual things take care of itself. The moment you start thinking, I need to get 5 wickets, I need to score 100, then, yeah, you may do that twice. But in the long run, it doesn't work out. The moment you walk in saying, okay, how can I make the team win? How can I get this wicket in this situation? Forget about averages. I mean, it doesn't really bother me. When people start comparing, I know all of you are all data analysts and you sort of slice numbers and then make people look good or bad, whichever way you want to see it. So I don't really worry about, when people come and say, you know what, you took 66 balls to get a wicket or 65 balls. This guy got it at, I say, it doesn't matter. At the end of it, you had that kind of a opportunity and a situation, and you just went about doing the job. And I don't think comparisons are good, and you sort of that's one way to sort of keep an eye on this era versus the other era and whatever. I mean, you do all those comparisons. It's a talking point. Yeah. Beyond that, I think you just keep the team and the goal, the larger goal in mind. Individual things take care of itself.
And this is not to come back to your age at all, but how many of you all watched that 1999 Test match live?
Live means on television. Yeah.
Was anyone in the ground at all? Yeah, but do you want to give him a big round of applause for...
I was definitely at the ground.
We didn't touch upon Antigua in 2002. It's another conversation that we talk about a lot. Is that in many ways how Anil Kumble is in life in general, a fighter?
Yeah, I think, you have a responsibility, you have a role to play. And if something is not stopping you from doing that, then I think you should go ahead and do it. And that was always my ultimate goal. So yeah, the jaw was fractured, but my shoulder was fine, so I was absolutely fine to go and bowl. I thought if I go there and pick up a couple of wickets, the team will be in a good position to win the test match. And that was my only thought. I never thought when I walked in, what if I get hit again? What if I fall again? Those thoughts never came to my mind. Yeah, when you look back, you think maybe why did I do that? But at that point in time, it was just about trying to see if I can squeeze in a couple of wickets. I knew that I was coming back home to fix the jaw. And it was just a matter of going there, getting a couple of wickets, try and see if we can get the team in a good position. It didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Picking up a lot of wickets and scoring runs with the bat with a broken jaw and you're bandaged all over. That doesn't happen too often in Test cricket, does it? Thank you so much for that as well. Right, we have a few minutes before we open up the floor for questions that you'll have for Anil. But before that, if I can just try to put Anil under pressure, doesn't really take too much pressure like he said, but just a quick one-word answer to each of this, Anil. Dismissing Brian Lara in a game of cricket or dismissing Sachin Tendulkar at practice?
It can't be just one word. I've already said that thanks to bowling so many times to a Tendulkar in the nets that I was able to dismiss Brian Lara.
Ah, lovely, love that. I'm not going to ask playing because obviously you'll say playing, but commentary or coaching?
Or coaching, for sure.
Apple or Android?
I'm an Apple guy.
Okay. 5-wicket...
Sorry.
No,
I know your previous... Yeah.
I used to be with Google, not anymore. 5-wicket haul or a 50 with the bat?
Oh, 5-wicket haul.
Any day. Playing under Azhar or Ganguly, but...
I've already answered
that.
I've already answered this.
Okay. Who was the more irritating from an umpire's point of view? Harbhajan Singh or you?
You should ask the umpire. I've never stood there. I think the umpire had equal pressure. That all I can say is they were under pressure when both of us bowled.
What a partnership that was. Has to be one of India's greatest partnerships in cricket in general. Big round of applause for what Baji and Anil have done for Indian cricket. 1999 Feroz Shah Kotla or 2002 Antigua?
Kotla.
Kotla for sure. Okay. A Sony camera or an Apple camera?
I prefer the Sony camera for obvious reasons because wildlife photography is about that. But I think soon Apple cameras are going to get there, and it's already there. I mean, you also use Apple cameras for the wide-angle shots. You no longer need a smaller lens. So yeah, I think you both.
Okay.
Any camera.
Fair enough. You're still playing with the team, so a road trip with the teammates or a solo trip with the camera?
I think road trip with the teammates with the camera.
I see what you're doing. A leg break or the googly?
Yeah, I think I bowled a lot more of googly, so I would prefer the leg break. Not many batsmen played for the leg break, so I would prefer the leg break.
Bowling on day 5 or day 1?
Oh, I mean, if you only bowled on day 1, that you will get to bowl on day 5. So I guess, yeah, I mean, day 5 is always you're on top. Day 1 is a challenge. Day 5 is a different challenge because you're under pressure to finish the game. Everybody wants you to win, and the pressure is on you to get those wickets to win for your team.
Okay. And toughest team member to captain?
I think myself.
Okay, I'll stick with that. Who would you have at the other end when you're batting and trying to save a game? Venkatesh Prasad or Javagal Srinath? They're watching this.
No, I know. No, I'll have Sri.
Okay.
Yeah.
The best compliment or the most memorable compliment you've ever received after the 10-wicket haul?
I think I don't remember any sort of compliment per se that I can sort of think of, but I guess winning the match itself was a biggest compliment. I mean, that to me was the... And the way the players reacted to that event, they lifted me up and sort of carried me right throughout. So it was something that you could see the joy of being a part of a team comes through in those kind of situations. So probably that was the biggest compliment. How my own players reacted to one of their colleagues performing and doing it for the team. I think that's the beauty about team sport. It's not just about individual celebrations, but you also celebrate an individual's performance.
Right.
And that to me was the biggest compliment.
Your inspiration in life?
There have been many, but from a cricketing standpoint, I think it was B.S. Chandrasekhar.
One of India's greats, one of Karnataka's greats. And one final question. The best piece of advice that you've gotten, and one that you can share with the audience here.
I think same with B.S. Chandrasekhar. There were a lot of doubts when I played. People kept talking about my bowling, whether it was effective or not. So even I would have those doubts. So whenever I sort of went back to him and then met him and then asked, he would keep it very simple. He would only ask me 2 questions. He would say, look, are you getting the bounce? If the answer is yes, then okay. What about the pace after it pitches? The zip off the surface. Are you getting it? I say yes. Don't worry about what anyone else says. Because that, I think, when you go for advice, people tend to complicate it. And you sort of come back muddled. Clarity is important. And that to me was the biggest sort of advice at that point. That was one. The second time, the biggest piece of advice, I've said this before, was after the Sydney episode when I was captain in 2008, when there was all these things happening about Monkey Gate and all of that. I got, I think, thousands of messages saying what I should be doing, what the team should be doing, what anyone else should be doing. I mean, I think when you're in India, everybody loves the game. So, even tomorrow, what RCB should be doing after winning the toss, I'm sure there'll be 50 opinions. Who should bat where? Who should be playing in the playing 11? Who should bowl the first over? And what should be the first ball be? Why did he bowl this? All those are there. So you get bombarded with all these messages, right? So the greatest, I think, sort of advice that I received was from former India captain, who was no more, Bishan Bedi. He sent me a message saying, son, he would always address me as son. He would say, son, take a decision as to how history will look at this. I think that was the biggest piece of advice. So you sort of fast track forward and then think and then say, okay. Because generally when you're in any conflict, you sort of tend to react quickly. So he said, look, just take a pause. Go fast forward yourself 5 years down the line, or 1 year down the line, or 6 months down the line, and then look back and then say, what decision would you take now? I think that was the greatest piece of advice.
Thank you for sharing that. It's been an absolute privilege to be in the company of cricketing royalty. Can we have a big round of applause for Anil Kumble, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you.
We have 5 minutes left on the counter right in front of me. We're going to open the floor for a few questions. We have one right in front on my right over here. And the lady in brown, if we can have you have the first question, and then we'll take you, and one over here. Yeah, so we have the 3. Can we have a mic on the right, please?
Hi, Anil. This is about the Antigua match. I know that you said it was, you played for the team, but every time you delivered the ball and your leg hit the ground, it must have really, upset your jaw. How did you kind of really live through the pain and made sure that you delivered the right line in length? Because this is a question that I've been wanting to ask you since I was 20 years old. I really want to know how you managed through the pain and still, delivered that.
I'm not sure. I think it was, I think more than me, the most sort of concerned on the field was David Shepherd, the umpire. Because every time I bowled and walked past him, he would ask me, "Are you okay?" And if I said, "No, no, don't say anything, just gesture," he didn't want me to even open the mouth. But I said, "Shep, I need to appeal if I hit the pad." So I guess, yeah, I think pain is something that you sort of go beyond. And when you're out there, the adrenaline pumps in. In fact, I got Brian Lara out, and then I got Carl Hooper out. Probably it was of a no ball, unfortunately, because the adrenaline was pumping so much that you're not really thinking of anything else. You just want the ball in your hand and want to get through the batters as quickly as possible. I think that's what it is. So I never thought anything else other than the focus was always, how can I get him out? So that thought was still there. The moment, if the thought shifted to my jaw, then I don't think I would have done any of that. I would have probably walked away and said, that's it. So yeah, I guess it was just a threshold of pain. It's just a barrier. Once you cross that, you don't really think about the pain at all.
In typical Indian fashion, did your mom call you from India saying, "Anil, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in the hospital"?
Yeah. I mean, I told my mom, I told my wife. My wife was very surprised. I mean, this was prior to me going onto the field. She had arranged for the doctor here in Bangalore, so I was coming back. I had booked my tickets. So I told her, look, I'm going to leave Caribbean, come back via London, and I'll be there on such and such a day. So, this is the time I'm coming back. And by the way, don't be surprised if I go onto the field. So she thought probably I was just joking. It was, I don't think it was anyone's decision, including the physiotherapist, Andrew Lepus. It was none of his decision. Even the doctor advised not to go. I said, look, I'm going.
Thank you for that. We have one question here.
Hello, Anil.
Hi.
My name is Kiran Krishnamurthy, and I'm your very good friend's junior from college, Jawgal Srinath from JC. My question is, who is the toughest non-Indian batsman to whom you have bowled?
Yeah, that was a good question because most of the tough batters that I bowled to were all Indian batters. So thankfully, they were all part of my team. I mean, there have been many batters. There have been many batters, a long list of players. Probably Brian Lara was really tough to bowl to. He was someone who was outstanding. He had probably 4 shots to every ball. Then Arvinder De Silva was someone who was exceptional. Inzamam Ulaq was exceptional. Jacques Callis. Then you had Steve Waugh, Mark Waugh. I mean, list is long. But yeah, I mean, fortunately, I didn't have to think prior to a test match saying I have to bowl at Dravid, Tendulkar, Ganguly, Lakshman, Sehwag. So thankfully, they were all part of my team.
Yeah. But a long list of great batters. Yeah. We have one here.
All front benchers. Okay.
Hi, Anil. So you have been a player, you have been a captain, and then you have been a coach. All three, I would say, were in a different era, right? 7-8 when the IPL kicked off, 15, 16, 17 when it was post-IPL, the cricket has become more aggressive. So what has been your experience and the difference in all the 3 shoes that you have played, right? And maybe one of the good moments and challenges.
Yeah, each one was very different. Of course, player is something that I enjoyed the most. Captain, of course, it's a great honor. You always, like I mentioned, even as a player, you're a leader. And captaincy comes along, it's always nice. I mean, I always feel that the title former India Test captain is something that I'm really proud of. And coach, like you said, it's a different era, but fortunately cricket is still 22 yards. Ball is still 5.5 ounces. Yes, red became white, white became pink, but cricket is still the same. And the challenges remain the same for a player. The evolving of a player from where that particular player is to where he needs to go in that year, next year, in the future is all the same. So you're trying to sort of be a part of that journey. So it was always nice. The reason that I chose coaching over commentary, although commentary is something that I'm doing currently in cricket, is the experiences or the emotions that you sort of feel when you are a part of the dressing room is very different. And the sort of involvement that you have in a journey, someone's journey where he's grown from there, that stature, and then to another level. If you're a part of the journey, and even if you played a very small nominal part to helping that person, the satisfaction is far greater. And that to me was the biggest sort of learning. And yes, we all have our own ways and methods to do certain things. And it's not just about learning for the player, it's also learning for you as you go through different phases of your life. And when you go back a second time, it's much different. So I guess it's always something that I enjoyed. And for me, each one of them were equally challenging.
We're unfortunately out of time, but I'm going to take one last question from there. Yes, thank you.
Right at the back.
Yes.
From my childhood, I used to always feel that sports and education is completely opposite. And when did you get to know that, like, you want to become a cricketer? And did you have this aim to become a cricketer? And were you regular to the school and college?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, I was a bad example to all my cricketing colleagues, in college. So fortunately for me, there was no IPL at that time because summer was a break from international cricket. So I played international cricket when I was in second year of engineering. So I had to take exams in my third year. In fact, third year when I wrote the exam, the supplementary exam was challenging. And the third year, I carried forward from second year, I carried forward about 7 subjects because I couldn't attend. The minimum was 50%, which I took, and then I moved from second to third year. And third year I had 7 subjects. And I could write only 2. And the other 5 I missed again, and then carried it to the third year. And third year I had 12 subjects, and then 5 subjects of my second year. So all 17 I had to write in one go. And I was fortunate I finished all of that. And so cricket and engineering was always in parallel. So there was no difference to that. And I could, since I became an Indian cricketer when I was at the college, at RV College, Professor Holla, who was the principal at that time, he gave us a separate register. So I had my own attendance register. So I could mark my own attendance. So he said that whenever you go out to play a match, you can mark your attendance as 100%. Although I missed all the classes, so if you say, were you regular? Yes, attendance was regular. but I missed college 95 or 98% of the time. So people who come to me now saying, you know what, I was in your class, I won't remember any of them, unless they were a part of the cricket team, or a very few of them who were a part of my group. So yes, I was quite regular in attendance.
Vinny, do we have time? One last question? Yeah? Who has the mic? Okay.
Okay, so here's my question. So I met Sanju Samsung, and he told me, so I'm like into AI and stuff. So he's like, you're doing videos, you're doing this, all that great, but are you going and playing outside? I need you to take me a picture every day, send it to me, that you're going out at least for an hour and sending a picture. So I wanted your opinion because you are in cricket like anything, right? And you have also done mechanical engineer and all. My father was telling me. So because you are in tech and cricket, I want your opinion. Like, how much time should I divide for both of all this stuff?
You need to get out and play because that's the best part. Okay, I know you didn't want to hear this. Unfortunately, I say the same thing to my children as well, saying the more you go outdoors and play, the better it is for you. You'll be in a better space in terms of your mind. You'll be a lot more fresh. You'll get a lot more ideas for you to develop your AI, whatever thoughts that you have. So go and sweat it out. That's the best form of de-stressing, and that's the best way to sort of go about, because it helps you. You're full of energy. People think that when you go out and play or exercise, you get tired? No. At that time, yes, you feel tired, but after half an hour, you feel refreshed. And that's the best part about exercise. So that's number one. Number two, yes, you're good at it anyway, so I don't have to tell you.
Just wanted to say a big thank you for the last 1 hour, for
Thank
all the
you.
time, and
Thank you,
more
Anil.
importantly, for what you've done for Indian cricket, what you've done for the state of Karnataka, and for keeping the flag flying high, and your contributions to the game that we love. I think as cricket fans, we all will, for the rest of our lives, remember a few moments that you've given us.
Thank you so much.
And for
Thanks
that, we
having
will
me.
always be in
Thank you.
for sure.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one last time, the one, the only, Anil Kumble.